Hello, what's up? Welcome once again, dear listeners and the good people out there, followers of this YouTube channel. I am here excited today to join with you once again on this very YouTube platform as far as academics is concerned. And we are so lucky today to have a short discussion on the poem Hollow Heads, the poem written by Tanzanian poet, lawyer, academician, and activist of human rights, the late Professor Jwani Mwaikusa. Dear listeners, generally, the poem Hollow Heads criticizes the nature of readers who are incompetent, or whom we can term them as empty-headed, who try to prevent intellectuals, as we find someone who is speaking this poem is an intellectual, an educated person, a person who seems to be knowledgeable, but such top government leaders who are in power, are trying to prevent him from thinking. Why preventing him? It is because they think maybe they will criticize, they think maybe educated people will end up criticizing and exposing some existing evils in the society. So they try to prevent intellectuals from exercising, from putting their theories into practice, as far as criticizing some evils that are happening in the society is concerned. So the persona in this poem shows that he has a strong mind and speech, but sad enough, he remains powerless and weak. Why? It is because the persona possesses intellectual power but lacks political power. And this has been very common today, because we have intellectuals who seem to be very critical, educated, knowledgeable, but eventually such people are hated by the existing system. They end up being arrested without and being jailed without a fair trial. Some end up being exiled. Think about educated people like Ngugi wa Thiong'o, simply by criticizing the government. He was imprisoned. The issue that actually forced him to run into exile. Well, let us now join together as we try to analyze this poem stanza by stanza, verse by verse, for a thorough understanding. Well, stanza 1. The poem reads, "Hollow heads torture me with ignorance." Hollow heads torture me with ignorance. Dear listeners, bear in your mind that hollow heads symbolize ignorant leaders who are in power. They are equated with hollow heads. They have nothing in their mind. That is why they misuse their positions to silence people who can eventually criticize their errors. So the persona seems to be angry with hollow heads. In addition, verse number 2 of stanza 1 states, "Blind eyes harass me with darkness. Deaf ears tire me with silence." So it is an indicator that the persona is actually angry with people by the way he addresses them, by using some harsh words like blind eyes, deaf ears. He is tired with how such leaders behave. Blind eyes harass me with darkness. Deaf ears tire me with silence. So it is personification, dear listener. Because deaf ears have been given human qualities of silencing the persona. Blind eyes have been given human qualities of ensuring darkness. He goes on by saying, dumb voices defend me with gibberish. Dumb voices defend me with gibberish. Gibberish are simply unintelligible words of the language that maybe you can listen to it and you don't understand it. Words that you do not understand them, they're what you can term them as gibberish. Blank minds confuse me with emptiness. Leaders are endowed with blank minds. They have nothing in their minds. And above all, there is power and command. So get a theme of dictatorship, a theme of lack of democracy, because in the personalized society there is power and command of the leaders who are in power, trying to silence people who can eventually criticize the errors or the evils of leaders who are in power. Stanza 2. With wits and ears and eyes, with wits and ears and eyes, I have speech and a strong mind, but I remain weak and powerless. Dear listeners, here is another sort of disappointment, because the persona seems to be educated. He is so much knowledgeable, but he remains weak and powerless. It is because the knowledge that he has cannot be put into practice, cannot be used to bring about changes, to ensure democracy, to reveal some evils done by leaders in the society. He goes on by lamenting, they oppress me, they torture me, they fight me, they kill me. A thing that you cannot imagine, dear listener. The persona is oppressed in his society by leaders who are in power. He is tortured by bad leadership. He is fought, and eventually he is killed. A thing that you cannot imagine. But some of these have been used symbolically to imply something else. Here goes a paradoxical verse. When the persona states, they fight me, they kill me, how comes he is actually killed by the system? To me, he is completely stopped, he is completely prevented from right to expression and right to criticizing the government. Well, he goes on by saying, it is a fight to bring me down to silence. It is a fight by the authority to bring the persona down to silence, to darkness and gibberish, to ignorance. It is better the persona remains ignorant. Those are some wishes by the dominant class. And through brainwashing to emptiness, they wish to turn the persona's mind for him to start worshipping the poor government system, so that he cannot criticize what is unfair existing around him. He goes on by saying, all right, my friends. Here goes iron as a figure of speech, because the persona addresses his enemy as friends. How comes? Bad leaders to be one is friends. How comes? It is a battle and I will fight it. So here goes a theme of sacrifice. The persona is ready to die for the sake of struggling for change and ensuring justice in the society. He's going to fight against the bad leaders who prevent intellectuals from criticizing the ongoing evils around. Ears and wits. With ears and wits, and eyes and speech, and a strong conscience, these are my weapons. What are the person's weapons when he tries to struggle for change? Ears, wits, or knowledgeable words, eyes and speech, and a strong conscience. These are my weapons. He is going to use such weapons to fight for change. The last stanza reads, it consists of a single line, and I fight to the last cell. This implies a theme of sacrifice. He is ready to die for the sake of struggle for freedom. Well, dear listeners, possible themes to be identified from this poem include torture and oppression, as the persona seems to be oppressed and tortured by the ignorant leaders who are in power, who are trying to silence him. He is tortured, he is oppressed, as he laments, I have speech and strong mind, but I remain weak and powerless. They oppress me, they torture me. But also, readers can obtain a theme of intellectual battle or protest. The persona seems to have an intellectual battle when he tries to protest against the bad leaders who are misusing their positions by silencing people who could end up criticizing them. Sacrifice and courage are some possible themes to be obtained from this poem. The persona is ready to die for the sake of majority welfare, and he is courage by the way he openly addresses and he openly reveals some evils done by leaders. That is sacrifice and courage. He does not fear what are some outcomes that might fall when he criticizes the system, but he does not mind. Well, who is speaking this poem? Who is the persona? Listeners, the persona is an intellectual who seems to be educated, but unfortunately he suffers oppression by the system and he is denied from right to expression. Remember, he has strong speech and strong mind, but he is silenced by the system. The language used in this poem seems to be simple, clear, and straightforward. By the use of the poet has made the use of emotional words, the use of diction that possibly convey the targeted meaning or the targeted message. Words like torture, oppression, ignorance, horror, hates, blind eyes help readers to get the message of the poet more easily and probably guess on the possible theme to be revealed